Hi, welcome to Chess with StephanieMarie. This is going to be a very non-conventional chess session. We're going to start with either a quote, inspiring thought, a joke, or maybe even do story time at the end. Let's see. Behind every great man is a woman rolling her eyes. Okay, back to chess. Chess originated in India. And the objective of chess, it originated in India and spread it out all over the world. And the objective of chess is to checkmate your opponent's king. Chess is to me, the most exhilarating, stimulating, sensual, educational, mind-boggling, challenging game sport one could discover. And I'm so happy that I was able to discover chess. Chess is a very unique game. The board with the pieces, the board, everything about it is very fascinating and mind-boggling. You have three categories of chess players. You have the professional chess players that play in tournaments. They play with a clock. They notate their points. They notate their moves. And, it's pretty intense. There are tournaments held locally, nationally, all over the world. We even have a chess Olympia, which is held every 2 years in a different country. And mostly professional chess players participate in that event. And then you have the casual chess players who play chess with friends and acquaintances and talk trash like I like to do when I play. I like to talk trash. Whether I'm winning or losing, I'm going to talk some trash. But I like to have a good time when I play chess at either chess club or coffee shop, at home. And then you have another category of chess admirers who appreciate the game. They own a chess set. They have a chess set at their house or at their office to bring an extra bit of ambiance and elegance, because the boards are bring that extra beauty to your home, but they have no idea how the pieces move on the board. So I'm here for all of that. That's why we're here, because I am a chess enthusiast. It's my favorite pastime, and I just wanted to share some of my chess knowledge and experience with you. So today we will go over setting up the board, which is very important. The board has to be positioned a certain way. The pieces have to be positioned in a certain location on the board. Again, the objective of chess, winning the game, is to checkmate your opponent's king. The king has a host of pieces on the board, on the court, to protect him from getting checkmate. Okay? So, The rooks, you have 2 rooks, are positioned on the end of the board. Now, when you're setting up the board, first make sure your board is positioned correctly. Make sure the white square is in the right corner, okay? The white square is in the right corner. You have the 2 rooks on the end squares, and next to the rooks, you have the knights. Next to the knights, the bishops. You have the queen and the king in the center of the board. And the way to remember where to put your queen, where to put the king has like a little cross on his head. So that's how you distinguish the king from the queen. The queen is always on her color square. So if you're playing white, make sure you have the white queen on the white square. If you're playing black, make sure the black queen is on the black square. And the pawns, your team pawns, are in front of your pieces. So that's how you set up the board. Now, in moving the pieces, that's a whole nother ball game. That's a whole nother game. Each piece has its own unique move. And not only does each piece have its own unique move, each piece has its own value and points. And this is important to know. You don't necessarily have to keep score with points and all of that when you're playing chess, but it is good to know the value of the piece, what it brings to the game. Because if you're playing the pawn has the least value points in the point system. It's only valued at 1 point. However, the queen is the most valued. It's valued at 9 points. So when you're developing in your game, you don't want to swap a pawn, which is only valued at 1 point, for a queen. So you have to be kind of concerned about that. The rooks are valued at 5 points. The knight and the bishop are equal in point system. They're both valued at 3 points. Some people prefer the knight. They like to hold on to the knight to the end game. And some people prefer the bishop. So that's up to you. Once you start really getting into chess and you start having favorite pieces that you want to kind of hold on to for the end game, there are 3 phases of the game. You have the beginning game of the game, you have the middle game, and you have the end game. The beginning of the game is when you're developing your pieces. You're not automatically just going in for the kill at the beginning of the game to attack to checkmate the king. First, you got to get a little developed. So you move the pawns forward, the bishops, you develop your bishops, and you develop your knights. And it's also good to castle as early as you can. Castling means that you're giving your king a little bit more protection. Because remember, the objective of the game is for your opponent to get the king. The king starts off in the center of the board. But if you castle, which requires 2 moves, you kind of give your king a little bit of extra protection where he's just not a bullseye target in the center of the board. Now, to go over how the pieces move, we're not going to go over everything today because I don't want to overload you. And I just wanted to introduce myself to you and let you know what we're doing here. We're just talking a little bit about chess. Chess with StephanieMarie. So we're not gonna go too deep, but I will go over how the pieces move. Okay, so As you see, I've already started developing some of the pieces. Each piece has its own unique move. The pawns, they move forward one space. They can only move forward one space except for on the initial move. That's when they can move 2 spaces forward. Yeah, I know, it's a lot of rules to chess. It's a lot of rules to chess. And that's why a lot of people probably find it a bit challenging because, man, you got a lot of rules. Each piece has its own unique move. And like the knight, for instance, it can only move in an L shape or a 7. I like to say a L shape or the number 7. It moves up 2 spaces forward and 1 space to the left or right, or it can move back 1 space and then 2 spaces to the left or right. So I can see how all of that could be a bit much in the beginning, but trust and believe, once you learn how to play chess, you're gonna be hooked. Well, not everybody. Maybe just those who like to really think outside the box get hooked. But chess is a international game. And there's no age limit on chess, on learning the game, on loving the game. I taught my kids how to play, and my grandkids are in processes of learning now. And then we have older people who really enjoy chess. So the bishop, it moves diagonal, but it has to stay on a square. You have a black bishop and you have a white bishop. You have the bishop that's on the white square, it can only move diagonal on its square. And the bishop that's on the black square, it can only move diagonal on its square. And then you have the rooks. They move horizontal. They move left to right or forward or backwards. And you have the queen, which is some people, they love their queen, but I'm going to tell you something. I like the pawns. I like the pawns and the queen, but the pawn, even though it's only worth 1 point, what is the scripture? Do not despise those of small beginnings. Do not despise the pawn, because the pawn is the only piece on the board that can be promoted to another piece. It's the only one. It's the only one that if it manages to escape getting captured and makes it to the end of the board on the opponent's top side, it can get promoted. And it has the option to choose what piece it wants to become. So the pawn, if I advance this pawn all across this board, and I have the option to become a queen, I have the option to become a rook, a knight, whatever's going to benefit me in winning the game. And that's what I like about the pawn. The only piece on the board, another thing I like about the pawn knows its role. The pawn stays in its role. The only piece on the board the pawn is not trying to become is another king, because the pawn knows that he was designed to protect the king. So he's not trying to become the king. So that's Chess with StephanieMarie. I hope you have enjoyed today. And please do join me again on next week, where we will continue Chess with StephanieMarie. And if you have any comments or questions or things you might want me to go over, I might be able to go over it. I'm not going to make any promises, but please leave your comments in the comments section. And thanks again for joining Chess with StephanieMarie.